mild air that's still in place is really causing lots of problems. Mild air is trailing all the way up into places like the Northeast and New England, where not only do we have rain to contend with this morning, but we also have a low gusting to 50 miles per hour right now. No wind gusts in Washington, D.C., New York City, but Boston gusting to near 30. Here's the deal. The wind is only going to get stronger in the morning hours. And I think especially along the Lake Erie shorefront, that's where we're going to see some of the strongest winds. I mean, we're talking close to 60 miles per hour. Boston, with the rain coming down, the wind blowing it sideways, visibility out on the roadways is going to be difficult, to say the least. And you head over to some of our lake effect snow belts. Most of us are seeing rain this morning. It is far too warm, but you're starting to see some pockets of some heavy, wet, slushy snow mixing in. That's also complicating travel, right? Because you get the light powdery stuff that's a little bit easy, like pretty fast. We're going to continue to see that heavy, wet snow. That's going to be as the morning goes on, as we get into the first half of the day. I'm not expecting some of those high winds right along the Lake Erie shoreline. We've got winds that potentially 60 miles per hour this morning. That's why there's the high wind warning. What you see for the Buffalo area, just to the north of Erie, but even places that we have wind advisories, it's going to be pretty. Here's a look at what we're expecting for the next couple of hours. The strongest winds in the morning hours. Then as we get into the afternoon, that low pressure system gets farther and farther away from the northeast. The winds start to come down. But Steph, this is quickly replaced by our next system, which today is moving into the plains and the Midwest.
It is. So let's show it to you. It's really just starting to get its act together right now. And for the most part here into the plains, it is going to bring just some of that lighter rain and lighter snow for us, 1 to 3 inches. If you look a little bit farther west where we have some elevation, you're going to get a little more snow than that. But it's still all just coming together for us. And it's really still pretty strung out, all the energy associated with it. But it is going to bundle up and bottle up. And as Molly mentioned, it is going to sweeping east. So there's system number 1, there's system number 2, and then the West Coast keeps having multiple systems that will keep coming ashore as well. So you can see how it's kind of stretched out like silly putty. Maybe you got some silly putty for one of the holidays here as your presents. I know it's an old school present. I actually like to give some old school presents to the younger kids to play. Even like Operation, Guess Who. Some of the old, I mean, I played Operation when I was a kid. I still can't get that pencil out of his arm. I don't know how to get that pencil out of his arm, if anyone can tell me how to do it. Anyhow, this low pressure is going to move east. As it does so, the colder air really comes in behind it. So we aren't going to see it in conjunction necessarily. That's why you're going to have rain on the front side and then snow on the back side, and this will have some lingering lake effect on the back side that's going to continue blowing around and giving us some snow in a lot of places that don't really need it. Places that do need it, though, are into Nebraska. From Grand Isle to Hastings, we're 6, 7, 8 inches below average on snowfall. We'll get some. It's not going to wipe out the deficit at all, but this is going to be racing through. It's kind of acting like a clipper, kind of moving through quickly, not dropping loads of snow for us. Overall, the rainfall is going to be light as well. But you can see that snow not too heavy there either, Jim.
No.
And you're catching a flight this morning. Our airports actually look pretty good. There's going to be some slowdowns, some spots, but compared to the severe weather we were dealing with yesterday and some of the nasty weather that has been the DFW airport day after day having issues, this looks a lot better, right? We're watching a system that's really spilling into the northern and central plains, eventually into the Midwest. We've got some wind to contend with this morning in areas like Buffalo and Cleveland, so keep that in mind. But the rain showers, Boston, Cleveland, I don't think that's going to slow us down too much. We're clear in Denver, we're clear in Los Angeles, Houston, fog, but at least we're not dealing with the severe weather. Let's see what's going on the roadways, because now people, they're done with opening presents and you're thinking about maybe where are you going to end up on New Year's Eve. We have some complications, some wrinkles in the forecast, right? Especially when it comes to the 95 corridor in areas like, say, New York City, where you have 1 million people that pack into Times Square. Could we see rain? Absolutely. Go ahead and find the poncho because you can't bring umbrellas in. Today, travel-wise, we could see slowdowns Cleveland, JFK, Boston, all due to the wind. But you'll notice none of our airports are seeing that red color. That's a high chance of seeing delays. Just some minor slowdowns across the lower 48. Road travel-wise, as we look towards New Year's Eve, we have a system that's moving into Chicago. It's going to be that sloppy kind of cold rain. Do we see some snowflakes mix in? It's possible. Up the 95 corridor, we stay a lot lot of areas with just plain rain because it's going to be far too warm. But New Year's Eve, now we start to see some of the lake effect snow take over. And Jim, that's going to be setting up along areas like Buffalo, the Tug Hill Plateau, that could last all the way through the weekend.
Yeah, and really as
so far with the reports that we've gotten in, and the system that caused all that damage is now in the Northeast. Now, it is not as potent as it was there. We're not expecting tornadoes, but we are expecting some strong winds that could cause damage. We could see spotty power outages. You could see some trees down. I mean, look at this. We are gusting in Buffalo to 48 miles an hour. In fact, some of the winds could get 60 miles an hour. Otherwise, it's just breezy out there. Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, State College gusting to 30 miles an hour. It's rain and then snow on the backside in the form of lake effect, by the way. And look at this stream of moisture coming off the Atlantic right up Long Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and into New England. Very heavy rain for some of us today. But as you see, the system is basically in the stages of winding down, right? It's slowing down. And so it's not as well defined, but it's still there and it's still pumping out that rain. It will continue to do so throughout the day as we head into Maine, making some of the roads wet here if you're doing any traveling home from the holidays, or perhaps you're heading to a New Year's Eve location that you want to go to. As we go into Monday, things start to wind down, but there are your high wind warnings where you have the warnings. That's where you could see those gusts to 60 miles an hour. So it's going to be a pretty breezy day for us. Buffalo, Detroit, I will also say this could slow down some of the air lanes, so be careful with that. Boston, also a little breezy, 30, 35 mile an hour winds this morning, and we will see that kind of continue through the day. So even if you get off the ground, you don't have any issues with that. It could be bumpy. There could be a little turbulence for you, so they might have to have the flight attendants sit down, and it is going to be a breezy one through the entire day. How about the roads here? Well, they're going to be sloppy. They're going to be messy, and our temperatures are going to be pretty mild. They're not super cold in the least here. In fact, I would consider these warm in a lot of locations. Buffalo could have a lot of issues getting out of there because of all the winds. And the thing is you might not be flying in and out of Buffalo, but if your plane's originating from there, then you could have problems with some of these delays. So do keep that in mind as you go through the day today. Molly, you might be like, it's sunny out here. What do you mean there's a weather delay, you know?
That's always tough when you're